Yeah, I'm still asleep, so that's why you didn't hear any sound till now. But I figured out um, how to get past things, put the medallion on. So I've done that. So sorry there wasn't any sound till now. Microphone wasn't on, of course. For 5 minutes. How rude. But hey, we're here. We're finishing this so we can get back to the Crimson Helmed Rider. I'm gonna cut out the beginning part here. So I didn't really do anything amazing. I put on the medallion, um, and then figured out that was how you get past stuff. And now we're here with Gra-Ganark, just trying to get this book. Give me the book, and you can have the rest you so desperately seek. You have no hope of denying me your past encounters are proof of that. You realize the spirit standing before Gra-Ganark is the ghost of Brayak, the master mage whose treasures, according to Kalmor Ag, the Valtazar has been collecting. Gra-Ganark, his yellow eyes suddenly blazing with rage, again angrily repeats his demand. The apparition of Brayak pissed a laugh, though no sound escapes from the glowing mouth. You immediately sense that the ghost of the long-dead mage is speaking telepathically with the Cesaro. The grim sneer spreading across Gra-Ganark's face suggests the reptilian doesn't know that does not like what he's hearing. Bright white light suddenly begins seeping through the many jagged cracks revealing the surface of the stone sphere. Powerless am I already snared your other treasures. You do have to realize it is you who dwell among the dead. It is you who is without power. Gra-Ganark outstretches his clawed hand. The spirit of Brayak immediately recalls as the phantasmal tome clutched in the ghost's hand begins to assume physical form. You're even weaker than when we last met, growls Gra-Ganark. Slip back into the shadows and give my regards to the ghouls. You realize that unless you act quickly, the Zara mage will likely lay his hand upon the books in just a matter of a moment. Yep, hit it. Your swift and sudden attack takes Gra-Ganark completely by surprise. A death blow to the back of his skull sends him reeling. He topples to the left and lands into a heap at the base of the wall. The apparition of Brayak, the sorcerer, whose most obscure secrets of Arcanine are hidden within the depths of the ruins, turns to you and draws the book to his chest. Destroy the fear, and turns a wispy voice in your mind. Destroy it now, or face through and destroy it. Your eyes are immediately drawn to a large stone orb, the very object which the Tsar mage was working his strange and powerful magic. You only conclude that by destroying the stone, as the spirit of Brayak has instructed, you will prevent Gra-Ganark from gaining what he seeks. A vicious hiss to your left spins your head in the direction of the sound. There, the red-skilled reptilian struggles to pull himself upright. You realize if you're going to take action, you must do so at once. Step forward and deal a heavy blow to the stone orb. The cracks riddled the outer shell of the sphere, lengthening and widening as long tines of golden energy erupt from the core of the stone globe. Gra-Ganark will recover from your surprise attack, cowers against the wall, shielding himself from deadly energy now arching out of the orb and filling the passage. With the Tazal mage currently held at bay, you heed the words of the spirit of Brayak and renew your attack on the orb, determined to destroy it. Death to the orb. A blinding flash of white light floods the passage. The orb suddenly shatters. Long tines of golden energy erupt from the dispersing core of the destroyed sphere, deflecting off the passage wall as they streak out in sight into the gloom. Gra-Ganark, having recovered from the attack, slithers into the center corridor and spins to face you. The vile reptilian mage, his broad chest heavy, heaving rapidly, snarls as he levels a claw-tipped finger at you. You are to choose your allies with just a bit more care. He snarls, now brandishing his heavy double-bladed axe. Who would have believed that the wretched cat would have so quickly found a feeble-minded poison with his lies? Hearing the words of Kalmor Ag, you step boldly forward and prepare to attack the Cesaro mage. According to what has imprisoned the catamaran told you, Gra-Ganark's acquisition of power will prove disastrous for not only his world, but perhaps this one as well. You've taken less than 3 steps toward the axe-wielding Cesaro when he removes his left hand from the haft of his axe and makes a strange gesture. Gra-Ganark's body shimmers brightly for a moment, then he vanishes. The reptilian mage is now invisible. Without warning, something cuts through the air only inches from your face. You stumble backward and draw yourself into a defensive stance as you attempt to fend off the defensive attack of your invisible foe. I knew it was going to be a failure. Crying in agony as the invisible Tazar unseen blade cuts a wide gash on your right side. Bleeding but alive, you fall back Several feet clutching at the nasty oozing wound. Your mind races you hurriedly. Suddenly the square medallion torn from your grasp by an invisible hand. Now you'll not be so quick to run. Prove to me your metal, and I might not leave you for dead. Having come to a horrifying realization you cannot hope to fight, much less defeat Gra-Ganark while he remains invisible, you immediately turn and take flight, running along the dimly lit passage as fast as your legs will allow. Passing it, the echo of the Zazar's mage hisses, coupled with the sound of scaly blocky sliding across the stone floor, tells you the vicious creatures not far behind. There's nothing happening with these. Are we really running away? He's barely hurting me. A grim hiss suddenly erupts from behind you, fearing that Gra-Ganark is close to overtaking you. You spin around and assume a combat-ready stance, prepared to defend yourself against the impending attack from the invisible Tazara. What confronts your eyes, you stare back at past, however, the sight that brings you a measure of relief and present you with the severe hope. Less than 10 yards away, emerging from the cloud of blue dust to which you passed only moments ago, is Gra-Ganark. The face of Tazara, though still invisible, is now covered in a fine coating of strange dust. As the sinister blue outline silhouette rapidly advances, you boldly hold your ground and wait for your chance to strike. Kill him, man. He trying to kill me? I'm not finna subdue him. That's dumb. Gra-Ganark sinks to the floor, landing face first in the broadening pool of his thick, dark blood. The reptilian mage, now forever beyond recall, emits a final ragged gasp and expires. His large yellow eyes reflectively narrow the thin black slits. Quick search of Gra-Ganark's body reveals two square copper medallions. One of the medallions is a piece that was torn from your grasp only moments before he became invisible. The two medallions appear to be identical. You promptly take possession of both. Gra-Ganark's fearsome axe, a heavy double-bladed weapon, lies against the wall, less than a foot from his outstretched hand. After examining the axe, you decide to take it with you. Confident that you haven't missed anything, you thoroughly check over your equipment before preparing once again set off. Violent shudder runs along the length of the corridor, nearly shaking you off your feet. Before you manage to steady yourself, a series of loud groans, joining in your deafening chorus by the sounds of splintered stone, echo all around you. Your mind races as several more shudders tear through the passage of the wall. You left cracks and buckles, and a large chunk of stone drops from the ceiling, the corridor shattering their strike. The underground levels of this tower rooms have started to collapse. You hurry along the corridor, momentarily uncertain your direction as you attempt to gather your bearings and decide upon a course of action that will hopefully lead you safely out of the collapsing ruins. You only just nimbly and narrowly sidestep a falling chunk of stone when a shuddering tremor tears through the passage and seems knocking you off your feet. Struggling to return your feet, you're startled. Will I die if I go back for the catamaran? I have to try, don't I? Being as I'm a noble lady. Watch your left, cracks, buckles, and then crumbles, revealing a wide, jagged mouth of a cave tunnel. Realizing the cave passage may lead to the surface, and that, at the very least, will offer some protection against a violent calamity befalling the tower ruins, you immediately rush toward it, only to have your mind suddenly played by the images of the imprisoned Catamaran mage, Calmorak. But you're not certain whether or not he's still alive, or if you can reach him in time. The thought of leaving him trapped in the cell as this ancient hall crumbles into ruin is a notion you find troubling. Of course I find it troubling. Let's go get him. Without a second thought, you set off for the collapsing ruins in the bold attempt to reach Gra-Ganark's forgotten prison of the Catamaran mage, Calmorak. I haven't been anywhere. Another tremor shakes the passage, nearly knocking you off your feet. As you struggle to maintain your balance, you're suddenly aware of a faint white glow severing in the shadows to your right. You instinctively turn to the light, only find yourself face to face with the ghostly apparition of Brayak. The image of the elderly mage motioning for you to approach you as he displays his fingers on his left hand and touches the wall. Without a sound, the silver-rimmed void suddenly appears to have a cold against... hurry from here, whispers the kindly voice as he echoes through your thoughts. The one from whom you've come back is yet alive. The last of these accursed towers in fall shall be my tomb. Do not let it become yours. Before you can attempt to respond, the image of Brayak fades and vanishes, leaving you alone in the quaking. Another violent shudder runs beneath your feet, opening a sizable crack in the floor. You rush forward and leap to the portal. The magical cape closes at your heels and tumble headlong into the frozen void. That morning, the void surrounding you vanishes, and you find that you once again standing in a dimly lit passage somewhere within the shaking depths of the ruined tower. As you attempt to gather your bearings, the haunting final words of Breg push the fore of your thoughts. "It shall be my tomb. Do not let it become yours." Realizing you must take haste if you're to find your way back to Gra-Ganark, escape from here alive, you properly set off along the corridor. Bathed in sweat, nearly out of breath from your swift and dangerous ascent through the collapsing ruins, you last draw upon the cell holding Gra-Ganark. The long row of iron bars that once separated this small chamber from the passage is gone. Slumped against the back of the wall of the cell, a chin resting against his chest, the Gra-Ganark mages you have returned to rescue. Gra-Ganark struggles, raised his head as you approach. He fishes you a blank stare as you kneel at his side as if he doesn't quite recognize you. Yes, of course," he says, his voice trailing away to a whisper as he leans his head back against the wall. "I didn't think you'd come back for me, or if you were still alive and below. Where did you find—" A violent tremor shakes the cell and passage. With one hand you grasp the wall and steady yourself. With the other you take hold of Gra-Ganark's shoulders, keeping him upright as the quaking continues for nearly a minute. When the tremors momentarily subside, the Gra-Ganark surprises you as he slowly rises to his feet. "And what below?" he asks as he leans against you for support. He listens with great interest as you quickly describe for him the encounter with the Axewoman Cesaro and the ghost of Breg. He asks you a few questions about the tome carried by Breg's spirit, though his main line of inquiry involves the fate of Gra-Ganark. You tell him that the Desire Mage is dead. A look of extreme relief passes over his weary countenance. He nods and attempts to straighten himself up. You sense that his massive weight, a source of extreme anguish, has at last removed from his shoulder. "What is there for me to say except thank you? Come now, we may have enough time to get ourselves out of here before it all comes down upon us." Gra-Ganark asks you to help him into the passage. Once outside the cell, standing in the middle of the corridor, the Gra-Ganark mage asks if you still possess the square medallion. When you show him that you have two identical medallions to carry, he asks for both. You hand him the two medallions and he immediately presses them on the floor and then holds both of his hands over the object and closes his eyes. A low hum rises from the air as a faint white glow emanates from the medallions. "Allow me just a moment," he says, his eyes momentarily dilating to you. "There's enough power in these pairs to do what I can no longer hope to do on my own. I just need a few moments." Suddenly, a violent tremor shakes the passage. Gra-Ganark stumbles back into the wall. You nearly topple over, only catch yourself at the last possible instant. Fearing you and hurt, you quickly move toward him, only to freeze and stare at wide-eyed surprise as two black portals appear in the center of the corridor, hovering above the two copper medallions. The Gra-Ganark mage, his expression lingering somewhere between a satisfied smile and an awkward grimace, waves his hand in the direction of the two magic cape. "The one on the right is yours." With Gra-Ganark leaning against you to steady himself, you two step toward the two portals. The Gra-Ganark tells you that the portal on the right will take you safely out of the ruins. The portal on the left, he says, will take him home. There are many of my kin who will not consider thanking you for all you have done, and it is, I am afraid, their way. I am grateful, however, that it is not mine. It has taken me much more life to realize that both enemies and friends are iron commodities, sometimes owned by upon the same breath. I am honored to have known you even for such a small while. Thank you for all you've done." Gra-Ganark moves unsteadily, gives you a nod and steps toward the portals. "You must not tarry here. The gates will soon devour the magic in these medallions and close. Farewell, Allison, and safe travels." Gra-Ganark steps up to the portal to the left and pauses. The noticeably stronger than he was only a few minutes ago, his unsteady movements and ragged breath lead to believe that he continues to suffer from the effects of his ill treatment at the hands of his cruel captors. Without looking back, Gra-Ganark mage steps into the portal and immediately vanishes into his dark shining core. In the same instant, a pair of shuddering tremors shake the passage. Struggling to maintain your footing, you rush toward the portal on your right and stumble into the gaping maw of the silent magical gate. What seems like several minutes, you tumble headlong through a silent, lightless void, losing all sense of direction as you plummet into nothingness. Without warning, your surroundings instantly change. You'll find you are now standing on a firm patch of ground beneath the bright afternoon sky, only a few dozen yards east of the tower ruins. After making certain you're alone here, you cautiously move your way over to investigate the stairs leading down to the tower levels of the ancient tower. You discover that the stairwell used to descend the ruins is now filled with earth and rubble, and it is no longer possible to enter the lower reaches of Breg. After briefly scouring the immediate area, you promptly set off away from the ruins, eager to make your way back to the small boat and return to Ebmark. We did it! Nothing to talk about with Yusina. Oh, I didn't mean to skip that. The Cameroon of Beast in Ebmark's renowned tavern is as crowded, bustling as ever seen it. You've been seated at the table against the back wall, basking in the flickering glow of the tavern's crackling fire. Captive but unwilling audience of the jovial din that echoes through the timber rafts of Jen and Eldessa's starving establishment. You're about to call out for more ale, somewhat doubtful that you'll be heard above the ceaseless growing clamor when the frothing tank lands in front of you, gripping the tall vessel in a weathered thick-fingered hand, and as the hand swiftly draws, you look up to find the smiling face of Hobmere staring back at you. I believe that's fair enough for a bit of a tale, he says, and he and the foreman quickly fill the vacant seats around the table. So you've been out to Hogwarts, so we hear. What about it then? And it is all. Come on now. I don't want a spindly story either. What have you got? You thank you for the ale and take a small sip of the warm, creamy brew as you contemplate how you will respond to inquiry. Each of the 5 men at the table fix you with an expecting. Tell them the story. And it's all what I expected, every last bit of it. Well done. Hobmere sits back and strokes his chin. It's calls for morale. The other men seated around the table, their eyes still wide as they struggle to comprehend the enormity of your account. Immediately congratulate you, having made it back to Ebmark alive. You spend the next small while answering a slew of questions from the fisherman and his cohorts, most of which involve your escape from the collapsing ruins. Well, you still won't find me anywhere near the island from now on. Looks like Jern may be right after all. He's been saying something that was odd about the island, says Hobmere, suddenly deciding he no longer wants the ale for what she called. He picks up the flagon and sets it down in front of you. It's the one he gave you only a short while ago, and then politely excuses him. Long day tomorrow. The sooner I'm off to bed, the sooner I'll be in the water tomorrow morning. The sooner the blue softfin will be reason to fret. The fisherman bids you farewell, and he and the members of his small crew rise and make their way out of the tavern. As Hobmere and the others depart, you rise, also preparing to leave, only find yourself suddenly confronted with Jen Kaufman, the tall, thin, pleasant man who always seems just a bit out of place in his own establishment, smiles and admits to having overheard the account you gave to Hobmere. I don't suppose even for a moment that you expect me to believe that what Hobmere so readily swallowed, says in a friendly tone, smiling brightly. Maybe someday I'll get the real story out of you. And there's something odd about that island. In fact, it's one of the reasons we came here. Enough about it for now, though. What? Before you converse with him further, Jean hurries off across the room, joining Eldessa in one of the many labours to see fit to confront the couple at almost every turn in the Beast Den. You're about to follow the footsteps of Hobmere and his crew and make your way outside when your eyes are suddenly drawn to the 2 full tankards resting on the table in which you've just risen. Content, at least for the next while, to discard any thoughts of more pressing nature. You take your seat and outstretch your legs beneath the table with your eyes wandering the bustling common room. You take hold of the flagon and settle back to enjoy the myriad of scenes unfolding around you. Sit alone at the table, enjoying both the dense, potent brew and the pleasant, almost melodic murmur rising out of the tavern's high-spirited throng. Now and again your eyes drift over the pair of wide windows, look out into the narrow lane. There's lengthening shadows of rapidly waning dusk has begun to melt into the blanket of gloom, now swiftly and evenly draping itself over the town and all the North Broadlands. Quite unconcerned with the jovial bustle and lonely but inviting glows filling out the beast in night quietly descends upon Ebmark. What does that mean? I think we're done here for now, but let's do the it's the horseman. Stanley holds up his hand and then blazing upon his plated as a bright number 3. Cast the stones. Is it telling you how many we've encountered him? Pathetic. Yeah, we got 7 this time. It's not sport. Perhaps someday our paths will cross. Yeah, we cross every day. So, Alright, let's travel to what, northern? No. Eastern? No. Yeah, southeast. I gotta look after my horse. She doesn't like me yet. Alright. Let's do me upgrades. Torture chamber. Okay, vases for the vase gallery, trophies for the trophy gallery, ice sculptures for the ice garden, winter garden, ornamental scimitar, grand weapon rack, no thank you. Oh, I love dreams. The dark frigid waters drawn from the depths of this well will make your dreams most vivid and memorable. That sounds fun. Yes, let's get a save going. 8 candles. And then improve on my well of dreams. Oh, I have other stuff to improve on as well. Fine. We'll do those. Pay logo. Nice. I'm gonna spend all my money on this castle. Alright, well, that's gonna be the end of the episode. I'm sorry for the first 5 minutes you can hear me, but I was just reading, so you could read it too, I guess, to sort of offset. I will try to always remember to turn my microphone on before I go. Hey, but until next time, you know what I'm gonna say. Peace.